Now, last season, Chelsea had a solid season, finishing fourth in the Premier League. They got to the fourth round of the FA Cup and Carabao Cup, and then they went on to win the Conference League and the Club World Cup. Now, we talk about, obviously, the Champions League so much because we cover it, and it's a tournament that's bigger and better than all the others. What do Chelsea need to do to win this opening match? It's a big step up going into the Champions League, Lahoud.
Yeah, look, it's Chelsea, whether you want to say it's a self-proclaimed or the acclaimed champions of the world, that's a big title. But this is where it really gets tested because Bayern Munich are an absolute behemoth. They're a monolith. They're a Goliath. And watching their match against the Brentford, some of the chances that Brentford let them off the hook for, let them back in the game, Bayern will not do that. Right now, they're one of the most ruthless teams in European football, and this is a big test for Enzo Maresca. He passed his last big test on an international stage with PSG, a tired PSG and all that. But now this is where we're going to really find out about Chelsea's character and their fitness levels because they want the distance to the Club World Cup.
Yeah, without a doubt. They let everybody know that they're the world champions because that world champions crest that they have is bigger. It's bigger than their actual club crest on their kit. So they make sure to remind everybody about that. But yeah, you're right about this Bayern Munich side. Clearly the better side, clearly a lot more dangerous in attack. Defense is still a bit shaky. They were obviously being in the Bundesliga. They're not tested to that level. I will say this, Bayern, they don't have a ton of depth. And I do think the depth piece that they got, Nico Jackson, who comes from Chelsea to Bayern Munich, will be a big part in that. But if it's a draw, if it's a 1-1 game late or a 2-2 game late, they don't have a ton of options on the bench, Bayern do, to take on these sides as a Chelsea, as some of the top teams in Europe, where a game could be in the balance and they don't have a ton behind Harry Kane, behind their incredible attackers that they have. But if one player gets injured, if there is some fatigue, do they have enough to truly compete for the Champions League? I'm not sure.
I think that's a worry for maybe the full competition. Yeah. I don't think that's a worry today. I think Bayern are the better team. What Chelsea need to do is a continuation of what they did this summer. They did have some really, really good performances, chief among them against PSG in that final. So we need more of that. They're going to need a big Cole Palmer game and to have the solidity in that midfield behind them. They'll have a chance. But again, Bayern are the clear favorites for me today. And they have done so well with some of their summer signings and some of their business over the last 2 years, I should probably say. So it's going to be a big, big test for Chelsea.
Yeah, looking at the Chelsea lineup, this is the projected lineup where you can get after Bayern Munich is out wide. One of the biggest injuries they've had, yes, Jamal Musiala is out, but they have reinforcements of their front line. Alphonso Davies not there. You have Josip Stanisic, who is not a true fullback. It's not a wingback. He is vulnerable. In the match against Augsburg, they kept going down that side and cutting the ball back. And if you're an Esteval, this is the match for you. He was in my pick to be a breakout star in the Champions League. So if you knock the ball about and then set those wide diagonals, those long diagonals, all the way to an Esteval on that right-hand side, that right channel for Chelsea, then you have it. It's a shot clock. You have 5 to 10 seconds, get to goal as soon as you can. 1v1, skin him, get to goal, and go to the outside. Because if you come inside, then that allows Leon Goretzka to track back, it allows Joshua Kimmich to track back, or if they go with Alexander Pavlovic.
That's why I think there's goals in this game from both teams. I really do. I think that Bayern will concede against this Chelsea team that has been very good in attack. So I could see this game being similar to the Juve Dortmund one, right, where it's maybe a little slow as getting started. But both of these teams don't have solid defenses for the European level. Bayern Munich is going to run away with the Bundesliga. They're not tested week in, week out. That defense is not tested week in, week out. They haven't faced a team like Chelsea yet this season. They're going to face them, and I do think there's goals in this one. Yes, Bayern are the favorites. Yes, they should win this game, but it won't be straightforward. There will be goals on both ends.
Enzo Maresca spoke yesterday. He was kind of making some jokes about Nico Jackson. Obviously, his move in the summer was on and off, and then finally he went. He said that he might be getting in company's ear about some tactics, making jokes. Classic Enzo Maresca. But Nico Jackson is another Premier League player to be in this Bayern Munich side. Just speaks to the strengths of the Premier League, and touch on that a bit because they've got Harry Kane now, Nico Jackson, and more Premier League players in this squad.
First of all, maybe you shouldn't worry about former players talking when you have a squad of 75 players. They could be littered all over the world, all over England. So they should be used to this. This shouldn't be new. In terms of Bayern's spending and where they're acquiring players from, obviously Vincent Kompany is a Premier League legend, and then he managed at Burnley, and then he comes here. So Luis Diaz, I thought that was an excellent signing by them, and he's looked very good so far. Nicholas Jackson, it's a hefty loan fee to pay for a player that doesn't seem like they're going to keep him long term, depending on the obligation clause. As somebody who's going to be the backup to Harry Kane, he's an expensive rotation piece. He's an expensive sub, but it's still a good player to have in this team, irrespective of the finances. So when they look at England and they're restocking their attack, and Michael Olise has been so good for Bayern, it's worked out very well for them. And that's another reason why I think that'll help them fare well against Chelsea, against Premier League opponents, because the whole attack is made up of players who are used to this style, who are used to this team, and not just used to it, excelled at this level. These are players that, outside of Cole Palmer, the Bayern Munich attack that's filled with former Premier League players, all of them are more accomplished and more skilled than, say, the Chelsea attack, and for sure, the Chelsea defense.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. This is one of the more slept-on storylines in the Champions League, because come deadline day, Nicholas Jackson was almost a laughingstock. He was almost a laughingstock leaving the club. Chelsea fans were saying, get out of here, get out of here. Don't let the door hit you from behind. And he demanded this move happen. And so he's going to come in, whether it's 15 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes, whatever minutes he has. I've seen this happen, that sometimes one man's trash as a player becomes another man's treasure on a football pitch. And when I look at Chelsea's back line, we're going to see, and I think this could be a big moment where we see the absence of Levi Colwill get absolutely put under a magnifying glass, because Chelsea's backline struggle with long balls over the top. Kevin Schade looked like he could have been up for the Ballon d'Or against Chelsea's backline, and that's a hyperbole, but I want to emphasize that Kevin Schade is not Nicholas Jackson. It's not Harry Kane, right? These are players of a better quality, but Chelsea's backline, when they have to turn and run towards their goal, there's some question marks that are still there for me. So I want to see what the vibe meter, and maybe we should do a vibe meter tomorrow. If Nicholas Jackson scores, what's the vibe meter going to be amongst Chelsea fans? Maresca, what's your vibe meter going to be?
Will he do the Emmanuel Adebayor and whatever happened in the stadium that the Chelsea fans are? He's going straight. Or the Luis Suarez when he did a fake dive in front of David Moyes against Everton. I don't know which one he's going to do, but I got to tell you, I'm hoping he scores just to see the celebration.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want. We all want to see that, right? Everyone wants to see him score against Bayern today, just for the content and for what it would be, the celebration. And you mentioned the loan fee that they paid. That goes to show you that they know they needed depth, and they know where to go shopping. They go to shopping in the Premier League, like you mentioned, because Olise is there, because Harry Kane is there. So Nico Jackson has something to prove, and he comes on in this game, which, I mean, you have to imagine he's going to come on at least for a cameo appearance late in the match. I'll be rooting for him to score a goal, just because of what it would mean to him, and just like I said, for the content.
Yeah, if we're going to talk about Bayern, though, in all seriousness, about the Bayern Munich machine that we're seeing in the Bundesliga, and I agree with you that the Bundesliga is not competitive this season. It's Bayern's to win. It's not even say Bayern's to throw away. It's Bayern's to win or throw it away. Luis Diaz is on absolute fire. I love this for him, because when you're playing with Harry Kane, and I've seen a difference in Bayern this season, and sometimes when you lose a player in the ways, and I really feel for how they lost Jamal Musiala, that was a massive talking point on this desk and in world football of too much football. Him and Donnarumma is just a really bad accident that happened. Sometimes that can open the door for other players to step up. And what's been filled with no Musiala in that attacking midfield position, Harry Kane has put that number 10 shirt on. He's both goal scorer and quarterback, and really pulling the strings. What that has now opened up is a new lease on life for Lucho Diaz. We're seeing him get more involved in the final third, and there's this, it's almost like watching someone play the violin, and it's and then they change the tone, and it's heavy metal football. And I think Lucho Diaz is that example of heavy metal football for Vincent Kompany and Bayern.
And Bayern have gone 36 straight games unbeaten at the Allianz Arena, so it's unbeaten matches at the Allianz Arena. So you have to think of that going into this game is a bit of an advantage to take.